Hola! Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for coming by. Congratulations on more members. That was lovely. Yeah, I love it when we grow. So, here's what happens in January in our movement as a long-standing tradition, is that many of my colleagues, and for a couple of generations, have used January to go back to the basics and teach from the first 4 chapters of the textbook. We have never done that and have no plans for that. Because it's just too predictable. And not that it's not important, but, I want you to kind of wonder what's going to happen when you come here. And I'm pretty good at that, aren't I? However, there is a book by Ernest Holmes called This Thing Called You. It looks... You're going to have to do it. This isn't working. I'll tell you when to turn it. That takes time. That's what the cover of the book's like. Hey, do we have any of those in the bookstore? We do? All right. So you may want to check it out. Yeah, it's too late to order more. They're going to want it today, or yeah, I know. Okay. Anyway, this is what the book looks like, and what it is really a very basic conversation about the science of mind and a basic principle that we hold as a high tenet, and it's the thing that gets us in more trouble than anything else in the world. Yeah, it's you. Because you are not who most people think you are. And neither are they. But they're not even willing to think about it. Most religions in the world that know what the science of mind is go, they think they're God. And it's true. And we think they're God too. So it's the way it works. It's the way it works is that this thing called you is this idea of a divine being absolutely present as you, not in you, not next to you, not with you. You. That's the point. That's the thing that makes us really different from virtually all other faiths in the world, is that we believe in the omnipresence of God with absolute certainty. That it's not that God is with us, that we are that presence. So let's explore that for the next few minutes. We're going to begin with the idea that Holmes gives us the starting premise in his book. And that comes from this quote here. You're doing great, Pat. Everything must find fulfillment or perish. Create or perish is the eternal mandate of nature. Interesting thought. And if you think about it, in nature that's absolutely true. What good is a fruit tree with no fruit? What good is a flowering bush with no flowers? It doesn't work. Those things don't survive. When they're gone, they're gone. So everything in life is working toward this idea of creating, of manifesting, of fulfilling its destiny. Everything. Why would we be any different? We are not different. We too are in that flow of fulfillment, of that creation of life. We have some additional responsibilities over most plants and animals and substances in the universe because we're conscious. We're aware of ourselves. Now, most of us on the planet are aware of ourselves only at the level of our bodies and our kind of being present here as a person. In the science of mind, we learn that it's more than that. The consciousness we seek to be aware of is that the divine presence dwells at the point of us. That our thoughts are God's thoughts. Our actions are God's actions. Our words are God's words. And there is no distinction. If there is any distinction, it's that the place where we are functioning is in the creation of our lives, our environment, our experience. But when you add it all up, it becomes the whole fullness of the divine. And it's not that we're a part of the divine. We are all of the divine. Absolute. That's the word we use. Absolute. There is no distinction. There is no boundary to our divinity. It is all of us. And the thing that calls us into action in our lives with our consciousness is this idea of creating or perishing. Doesn't give us a lot of choice on which direction we're going. And the point of this is that when we have desires, many of us think, oh, no, that's too much work. I'm not prepared for that. That's, yes, I have this thing inside of me that would really like to express that into the world, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to take the low road and be kind of still about all this. That doesn't work. That leaves us in total conflict. We are called into the expression of the divine. We are not here by chance. We are not here as some little mistake or some partial possibility. We are all of God expressing fully into life. That's our calling. That's why we're here. So, how do we look at this idea of being the divine? How do we embrace that? Well, Emerson helps us. He helps us with these words. Well, that's Ernest Holmes. See what happens when I'm not in control? Good work, Pat. Let's read what Ernest Holmes says in this about the mind. The mind is filled with the accumulated doubts of the ages, as though a vast abyss of fear and uncertainty were standing between you and your desires. Here's where the science of mind can aid you. The mental patterns laid down in your subconscious throughout the ages can be consciously removed. In other words, all those things that restrict you, that you seem to see as the barriers in your life, those thoughts that you have, it's not just those thoughts. When you have those thoughts, what are you doing? You're creating, because your thoughts create. They are the thing that actually is the catalyst that creates the experience in your life. So if you think that there are obstacles, if you are prey to all of the doubts and fears over the ages, then what's going to show up in your life? A lot of reasons not to do it. A lot of people telling you can't. A lot of things that say it won't work. But Holmes tells us that we can actually move from that place of doubt and fear, from that vast abyss, as he calls it, into something greater. We can do that. Go to the next one. Your destiny is not external, is what he tells us. Your destiny is not external. It's not out there. The thing that I desire is not out there. No, it is within you. If it were, you could not reach your goal. One by one, without frenzy or impatience, you are going to remove the mental blocks that stand between you and your destiny. So in this thing called you, Holmes really challenges us to step up, to do it differently, but not to get dramatic about it. Although sometimes drama really helps us. Go to the next one there. You can go ahead and take us to this thing that we're going to see. In the meantime, I want to read that phrase, or that Emerson quote. Emerson said, every man is a doorway through which the infinite passes into the finite, through which God becomes man, through which the universe becomes the individual. Emerson is not saying that you become God at some point in your life, that God becomes you. God becomes you. That's how it works. We don't strive to be the divine. The divine has chosen to move in to this world so that we can have our experience. Watch this. You're up to here with all the problems in your life. Something's not working. You're kicking and screaming and struggling with life, and nothing changes. It keeps getting worse and worse, and you take that last breath, and then something occurs to you. This thing, this called your problems, this challenge, this whatever it is in your life, it isn't real. It isn't real. And when she gets that in this movie called Divergent, tap, 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 boom, it's gone. Think about it. How many times have you been in that crisis mode where you didn't know what to do? You didn't know how to make it work. Life looked terrible. Life looked impossible. You were up to here. You couldn't breathe. It was so hard. And all you have to do is remember, it isn't real. It isn't real unless you make it real. That's what Holmes said. If you want that, sure, you can perish. But if you're willing to remember that you're in charge, that you're creating your reality, that you are the divine presence, then you have the ability to move beyond that. You have the ability to make it dissipate into nothingness. God knows I've stood before a wall that was higher than I could see, thinking there's no way around this. It was as far this way and as far that way as I could see. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what to do. And then I remembered, it's not real. I'm making this up. And all I have to do is know that, and it goes away. How do you do that? You do it because you remember who you are. You remember the truth of you. You are the divine presence. You have the creative power within you through your knowing. It is the same creative power that created the universe. The same creative power that created all that you see. The advantage you have is you're consciously aware of who you are. You come to this place and we tell you who you are. We tell you that you can create whatever you want. Think about all the things you've created that you didn't want. I want you to know you have the same ability to create the things you do want. You have the same ability to release yourself from what looks like impossible circumstances into something greater. And the only way through that is to know who you are. The only way to know that is to know who you are. I'm going to read what was up there a few minutes ago again. The mind is filled with the accumulated doubts of the ages, as though a vast abyss of doubt, fear, and uncertainty were standing between you and your desires. If there is that grand abyss, you created it. You made that happen. Accept that. It's not a fault. It's not a blame. It actually shows how powerful you are. You created an abyss. So now you can create a bridge. You can create a bridge that can cross any abyss, any expanse, anything. You can do that by simply remembering who you are and living from that place. This thing called you is the presence of God. It's not your body. That's your tool for being in this dimension. Thank God you have that body. Thank God I have this one. Take care of it. But it is not who you are. You are infinite. You have no beginning and no end. You had a birth, and that's where your memories begin. Some of us can go back further, but that's where most people's memories start to form. And you remember this lifetime and your childhood and all those things that happened, and when people did you wrong and yelled at you and locked you up or hit you or whatever they did. And we hold on to those like some kind of badge of honor. They're not. All that stuff is gone. It's not here. What's here is the presence of the divine. God in form as you, creating your life. Sai Baba, when asked how he could do all the amazing things that he was able to do when others around him couldn't, he said, there's only one difference. You see, I know I'm God. You haven't figured that out yet. So he did these miraculous things through his entire life that amazed people and created folklore. Not just him. Anyone can do that. Think about a time when you didn't have the answer. You didn't know what to do. What did you do? How did you get through it? You may not even know, but you did because you're sitting here today. And most of those things would have put you in a grave, or at least your body in a grave, but they didn't. You're here. You're still with it. You're still learning. You're still growing. You're still on that quest to create that life that is yours to create. It's not an accident. It's real. That's what's real. You are real. You are the infinite, with dominion over the finite. You are the universe, with absolute control over conditions. You are the beloved. You are the beloved. And you are creating a life filled with love. You are the master of your fate. Do not fall into the abyss and blame others for who you are and what has happened in your life. Let go of what has happened and pick up the banner of doing something extraordinary. That's your calling. That's what you've come to do, because the way you're going to do it, no one else can. Only you. The way you will touch other lives, the things that you will create, the course that you're on, no one else can follow you. Only you can do that. The lives you will touch, only you can touch that way. So go for it. This thing called you is extraordinary. This thing called you is amazing. This thing called you is different than any other person on the planet. So as Charlie would say, act like it. Isn't that lovely? Isn't it good to know? So there is one more blessing that comes from this book that I absolutely want to share with you. So if you would, just for a moment, close your eyes. This is what Holmes says we must do. We must place our affairs in the hands of goodness, love, wisdom. We must place them with supreme confidence, with childlike faith and trust in good. We must know that there is nothing between us and that which is best. Nothing between us and that which is best. We must accept our destiny, which is now at hand. If that resonates with you, let's read this affirmation together aloud. Pat, thank you. Ready? I place my affairs in the hands of goodness, love, and wisdom. I place them with supreme confidence, with childlike faith and trust in good. I know that there is nothing between me and that which is best. I accept my destiny, which is now at hand. I want you to know I believe in you. I know who you are. You're the divine. You're the presence of God in form on planet Earth. When you know that, when you work from that place, yes, you can do anything. What is yours to do? Please do it. I love you so much. God bless you.